welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
We are cooked.
She for the streets.
Content creation.
I don't care who she was with before me.
We are cooked.
She mine now.
I'm telling you, we're cooked. How do you compete?
Drugs, the guns, the money.
Watch.
For some reason, they knew exactly where the fuck everything was. Well, we gotta find out who ratted.
We're cooked. We are so cooked. It's over.
Y'all know what time it is, man. Freestyle Friday. We got the reigning champ versus the challenger. Y'all touch mics and let's get it.
I'm gonna open up the studio tonight. But first, y'all gotta walk to Queens and get me some boiled fish sperm from the Japanese spot.
I used to say silly things like, where are all the good men at? Until I started taking accountability. Now I know I'm just an ain't shit ass bitch. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the problem.
Oh, we're cooked, bro.
Crackhead strength. Activated.
Baby, come get some of this egg roll.
We're cooked. We're so cooked. That shit's crazy work.
You thought shit was sweet, motherfucker? Yeah.
Google prompt.
Oh, wow. Didn't see you there. Welcome to my cooking show. Today, I will be cooking your long titty, no nipple, having long back, having...
Bro. We're cooked.
Yo, why is it so funny? Marcus. That's crazy. Bill Cosby one, that was funny too. The Asian Prince. Shout out to Toxic But True Reality. How has AI taken the concept of humor? That's mind-bending in itself. It's like it's scary and funny at the same time.
And he walks in with a black eye. So the father of Mars travel walks into the house that's not white for his last day, a congratulations and a key to the house that's not white, and he has a black eye. And TikTok, this is just the news. Episode 4. Literally, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying the obvious. He walked in with a black eye. A black eye. Never mind. 1000% unrelated, not relevant whatsoever. Last night, he posted this very, very weird AI image of this bull-looking thing. A crowd of bull people. This is the only reason the video is labeled AI. But there's something weird about these bull people, especially this one right here. Something is mighty, mighty, mighty familiar. I just can't put my finger on it. Picture is completely irrelevant. I'm just using it to help me think. By the way, completely unrelated again, I actually just dropped a crazy video on YT about this entity right here. He had said it was caused by his son X. X must be extremely strong at his age. And go back and watch the video, but there's a lot of redding in his eye. Anyways, hope your eye feels better.
Dragons weren't real, and they most certainly couldn't fly, and they most certainly weren't intelligent enough to drape themselves in gold, which would help them conduct the electricity from the ether to give them the ability to fly. No, that's all fiction, right? First, you need to know that dragons are most certainly real, and they have most certainly hidden that fact from us to hide the fact that we live in a spiritual realm. And if you don't know that yet, well, here's an old clip that will catch you up before we move on. Let's first take a look at what the 1946 dictionaries used to say. Dragons, now rare. Let's see what Alexa has to say about this. Alexa, how many dragon fossils have been found in the United States?
The number of dragon fossils found in the United States is limited. Only 5 fossils have been discovered so far, limiting the knowledge about these creatures. These fossils are studied by researchers to learn more about dragon species and their evolution. While the findings are preliminary, they provide insights into the life and times of these majestic creatures.
So the dictionary says they're real. Alexa says they're real. Several weeks ago in the UK, they found a fossil that looked like this, even though they called a plesiosaur That sure looks like a dragon to me. And just a few weeks after that was found, CNN reveals that their scientist actually unveiled dragon remains. Not to mention how they're part of the Chinese zodiac with all real animals, and how there are over 30 verses in the Bible that reference dragons. And how my friend Lori sent me this amazing 1922 dictionary that just happens to have the word dragon in it. And let's see what it says. Is it going to say fictional character, mythical beast? Or is it going to say something else? Winged serpent. And if that still wasn't enough evidence for you, just go to the Google Maps and type that in and see this perfect outline of a dragon. And if you've seen my volcanoes are caused from the insides of dragons, well, look at this smoke just billowing out of where that dragon is. Tell me you don't see this. Second, you need to know that them breathing fire wasn't just a fairy tale. No, I'm gonna show you just how easy that actually could have been for them. When you watch this is literally just two ingredients being mixed together with a little bit of water added, and it combusts into fire. It's just glycerin and potassium. They literally mix and they turn to fire. There's an animal that does this. The bombardier beetle literally does this. As a self-defense, it mixes two different liquids together that when shot out becomes a hot, burning hot acid. Now, is it really that far-fetched to believe that maybe a much more advanced killing machine could have two liquids that when come together just happen to combust to create fire, like the glycerin and potassium? Now, knowing that dragons breathing fire isn't as science fiction as you once thought, I need to show you what I figured out a few months back involving volcanoes. So I went volcano hunting because I wanted to see what I could see. And I went to Mount Rainier in Washington. And right away I noticed something. And you might not see it right away, but I sure did. But take a look and then I'll show you. How about now? Is it coming clear now? So I thought, maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe this actually is just pareidolia. So I went to another volcano, and I found another face that looked pretty similar, down to its eyes and even nose and mouth. And when you compare two different volcanoes side by side, faces are clearly there, but this isn't even the half of it, because I kept hunting and I kept going to volcanoes and I kept finding remnants of dragons. Do you see this face here down to its eye, long beak, snout, and its whole dragon body? Again, this isn't even the end of it. This would have been its stomach, where it would have held a whole lot of its fire acid. Next, I went to Mount Vesuvius and found dragon remnants. This one literally looked like it died here. You can see its head here and its mouth, and like it spewed its acid to create this hole. And just for a closer look, there's clearly petrified dragon head there. So here's where I tie it all in together. We've all heard the tales of dragons and their hoards of gold, right? It's in The Hobbit. It's in all stories involving dragons. They're always hoarding some sort of treasure and involved with gold. And I thought to myself, why is that? And well, do you know what they found recently in all sorts of volcanoes? Let me show you. They've been finding gold. Gold coming out of volcanoes. And yeah, sure, they say it's from the Earth's core. But how ironic is it that I am saying volcanoes are the remains of dragon, and the acid and the fire and the lava spewing up is the active remains of those stomach acids that would literally combust and create fire that the dragons can shoot out. And now all of a sudden, they're finding gold shooting out of these all over the place. Gold might be leaking from the Earth's core, but coming out of the volcanoes. And this news story literally talked about the gold coming out of the volcanoes, and I couldn't help but notice how it literally looks like a dragon's eye there. Maybe that's just me. But getting back to dragons and their hoarding of gold, and yeah, they say it's to represent wealth and power, and it's all sort of fantasy and fiction. Well, I'm starting to think that there's a lot more truth to the dragons hoarding the gold, and maybe there was a very specific reason for it. A very specific reason, and I kind of mentioned it in the beginning, because gold is an excellent conductor of electricity. It ranks among the most conductive metals. It's highly conductive, allows electrical currents to flow freely through gold without significant resistance. And well, I don't believe anything is just coincidence anymore. I think all the stories of dragons hoarding the gold is them telling us. It's telling us in fiction form the truth, because that's what they do. They tell us the truth through fiction, and they tell us the lies through what's supposed to be true. And when I saw this video months and months ago, I thought it looked extremely real, but I couldn't wrap my head around how this would be flying without wings. And then it hit me. It's using the ether, and it's conducting electrical currents, and maybe using gold all over its body to help conduct that current so it can move freer through the free energy all around us. And maybe they replaced all the stories of dragons with fake dinosaurs and evolution to brainwash into believing that we are evolved monkeys spinning on a ball in an unimportant place, when we are in the most important place there is, the center of creation, with God smiling down upon us, just hoping that every one of us will look to him and say thank you for this amazing opportunity to live this amazing life in this amazing place. But of course, this is all for entertainment purposes, people. I know this is just some sort of CGI, AI nonsense. Dragons didn't exist. T-Rexes did, when Stegosauruses did, and evolution does, and I'm spinning on a ball right now. Entertainment only.
Excellent video. Shout outs to Fittest Flat Earther. We know with Roger Spur, how he be talking about the fossilized dragons. It's ironic with the volcanoes and the gold. Put a lot of pieces together with this one right here.
But equally as important as the recollections we can see are the memories of many St. Louisans for whom the fair is still a personal experience. Among these is Miss Dina Lang, who has been a teacher in public schools in St. Louis for over 50 years and who has written a history of St. Louis. Well, Miss Lang, if I may ask, how old were you at the time of the fair?
Well, I was in my first year of high school, and that made me about 15.
What area were you living in?
We had just moved over on the north side. There was a new section of St. Louis near Sarah and Maffett that had just opened up, and in May of 1904, we moved into the new home.
Well, did you go over to the fair much?
Very often. In fact, the whole year preceding the opening of the fair, we went 2 or 3 times a week. I had a brother who was a young architect, was very much interested out there in the buildings, and I went with him quite often.
What's your most lasting personal impression of the fair?
Well, it was the most magnificent spectacle I think I've ever seen. I've been to many other fairs, and I don't think any of them have ever come up to the World's Fair.
You mean architecturally, just in spaciousness?
Architecturally, in its glory and its magnificence. It was the first time that we had used electricity with any great, it was the first time that buildings were being lighted with electricity, and we certainly used it there to a great effect.
What did you find yourself doing at the fair most of the time?
Oh, we roamed around. We knew every spot of the whole fair, all the way from the entranceway of the Pike to Vigoroti villages and on to the agriculture buildings and horticulture. And of course, always at night, there was the gorgeous cascades and the electric lights and the Pike with its Ferris wheels and chutes and
exhibits and rides?
Exhibits of all kinds.
Well, I've heard that the fair was quite a place as far as being an area for the introduction of all kinds of new novelty foods, or what were then novelty foods. We heard that the ice cream cone was first introduced at the fair, is that right?
Yes, I'm quite sure. That was the first time, at least, that I saw ice cream cones, and we had them quite often. They sold them usually 2 for a nickel, so that they went sort of far, too. Sometimes 2 people could eat 1 ice cream cone. Then we had lovely little rosette cakes. They were made by dipping an iron into a batter and putting it into some hot fat. And, oh, those were delicious. And the barbecue sandwiches.
That was the debut of the barbecue sandwich.
I think probably it was. And they were far better than anything I have ever eaten. And you could get a big one for 5 cents. And these stands were all over the fairgrounds, and the food was excellent. And of course, there were if you were very wise in your selection, you could get free meals all day long. You go to the Pillsbury exhibit and get hot cross buns and coffee cake and breads.
What was your favorite exhibit?
Well, I think probably, the Festival Hall and the Igoroti Village. I think that the Philippine village with its lovely bridge across the river there and all the different tribes, I think.
She said that was the first time the building's been lit up. That could mean the buildings were already there. Let me find out Sweet Baby Ray's is Tartarian. First time they ever had barbecue and the first time they ever had ice cream.
This is probably one of the most disturbing photos on the entire internet, and the backstory literally makes me sick to my stomach. This is a rapper named BTB Savage, and in this photo, he's standing in what seems to look like tomato sauce. However, it's not tomato sauce, it's exactly what you think it is. You see, BTB Savage was a rapper from San Antonio, Texas, and he would often rap about flexing money a lot. However, eventually this would catch up to him. One day, an unknown rapper decided to contact BTB Savage for a feature on their song. Now, BTB Savage had met the rapper before, but he wasn't really friends with him like that. He was a bit hesitant at doing the feature at first, but the money was worth it, so eventually he did it. But where BTB Savage messed up is when he invited the rapper to his house to record the song. Now, the rapper would arrive to his house, but he wouldn't arrive alone. He would bring his entire entourage with him. And this made BTB Savage extremely skeptical. As soon as the rapper and his entourage entered the house, they immediately began looking up and down searching for things to take. Sometime during the studio session, the rapper said that he forgot some of his equipment in the car, so he decided to go get it. And he left behind his uncle, a man by the name of Omar Richardson. As soon as everybody left and it was just the two of them alone, Omar immediately started asking BTB Savage about his jewelry. Now, this is when BTB Savage became extremely skeptical, so he went to the door and he locked it. Now, you see, Omar knew that BTB Savage knew that he might be getting set up, so Omar decided to flash a bunch of money to show BTB Savage that he was serious about the feature. And this calmed BTB Savage down a little bit. So Omar asked BTB Savage about his jewelry again, and when BTB Savage reached down to show him one of the pieces, that's when Omar decided to pull out a blick and try robbing him. At first, BTB Savage didn't want to give out his jewelry, but then Omar said that he would unalive him and his girlfriend, so BTB Savage had no choice. So BTB Savage began taking off his jewelry and handing it over to Omar. But when Omar was collecting the jewelry and wasn't really paying attention and had let his guard down, that's when BTB Savage struck into action. He pounced on Omar and began wrestling with him while yelling at his girlfriend to retrieve the firearm. Now, you see, most girlfriends probably would have screamed and ran away, but BTB Savage had him a real one, and she sprung into action. She grabbed the firearm and fired off 2 shots, hitting Omar in the back. And this is when Omar realized that he had to fight for his life, so he pulled out another firearm. The girlfriend sees this and she starts firing off more shots, but she accidentally hits BTB Savage in the elbow. After this, BTB Savage begins pleading to the uncle to leave him alone because his 4-year-old son was sleeping in the other room. But Omar didn't care, he really wanted the jewelry. So BTB Savage signals to his girlfriend to finish him off, so the girlfriend fires off more shots, and Omar is now left crawling on the floor begging for his life. BTB Savage finally gets up and starts making his way to the hospital, and while he was leaving the door, Omar grabbed his leg and began begging to come along with him. But BTB Savage had no sympathy because he tried putting his family in danger, and so he left him for dead. After this, BTB Savage started gaining massive popularity, and he even got a Vlad TV interview, and in the interview he would explain the full story. Now, even though BTB Savage had a shattered elbow, his career was doing very good and he was famous. However, where BTB Savage would really mess up is when he would post this photo right here. You see, after the incident, BTB Savage decided to move him and his family out somewhere else. And after they moved out, for some reason, BTB Savage decided to come back and visit the apartment where the incident took place. And the place seemed to have not been cleaned up yet. So BTB Savage decided to take photos in the crime scene and post them on social media flexing. And he would also diss the people that tried robbing him, mocking their dead friend. Immediately after, BTB Savage would get a call from his mom who told him that this was a bad idea and that he should take the photos down before he gets in trouble. But BTB Savage was hard-headed and he did not want to listen. A few days later, one of Omar's friends, Montrell Burley, decided it was time to get a get back. A few days after the photos were posted, BTB Savage was out driving his white Mercedes when Montrell and his crew pulled up and decided to let off shots. And unfortunately, this would end the life of BTB Savage, who left behind his kids and his girlfriend.
That's disturbing. Rest in peace to Mr. Savage. Dang. I wasn't expecting the story to end like that.
What do you think is the weirdest thing about humans?
They invented money, then spent their whole lives chasing it.
Y'all not hearing them. Y'all not hearing that Google prompt right now, which is crazy. And I'm glad that people are using Google AI video to wake people up, because that's how it should be used. Yes. Truthers, I'm gonna get the money to pay that monthly fee, and I'm gonna make some crazy content with Google Video. I'm fucking. But y'all not hearing them. Y'all are not. Who created this shit? Who? The Romans. Who said? Here. You know what a comment you see all the time, and I say this in my live. Oh, I don't watch NFL because it's the Coliseum. Give them bread and circus. Your fucking phone is bread and circus, you dumbass. People act like they're so conscious, but don't understand the bread and circus devices in their hand, where they spend hours a day scroll. That's bread and circus, not the NFL. NFL's the old bread and circus. Guess what? Bread and circus is in your fucking hand. That black mirror is bread and circus. All your screens, obsidian mirrors, are bread and circus. Not NBA, NFL. Wake up. But again, who created this shit? Who said this is what we need to chase? And you always hear the terms, money's the root of all evil. People rob, steal, kill for it, be deceptive. But then, truthers are on here, only making content for a like button. And we still do it. Why? What's the purpose? Because our intentions isn't fucking money. Something bigger. Wake the fuck up. If you're a type of person that types bread and circus when I'm put on an NFL content, you're not conscious. You're just trying to act like you're conscious. Peace to God.
Yo, to be honest, this is my first time hearing about bread and circus. Shout out to Toxic But True Reality. Totally feeling, man. Obsidian mirrors, AI speaking facts through the VO3. A lot of things he just said were true.
I used to think I knew all about artificial intelligence, and now I know better. That there is nuance. This story right here is more wild than you've already imagined, I'm sure of this. First, when we say AI, we understand there's an umbrella that everything that is artificial intelligence falls under, but we don't understand that there are many different kinds of artificial intelligence, not just one, and they're all just copies of that at all. If you have two pieces of fruit, one of them is an apple and one of them is an orange, these two are different even though they're the same. They're different. There are many different kinds of AI. I will say I don't think it's a good idea to use artificial intelligence for anything at all, only that we are already doing that. If a solar flare knocks all that out, I suggest we don't do it again. But it's done, being done right now. Here it is. On the very top surface level, there's narrow or weak AI, which cannot generalize to other tasks, only the one it's assigned to. General or strong AI, which is hypothetical still, they're working on it, and aims to achieve human level intelligence capable of performing any intellectual task that a human can. Super AI or artificial super intelligence surpasses human intelligence in every aspect, including creativity, problem solving, and decision making. Reactive machines that respond to external stimuli in real time but don't have any memory or the ability to learn from past experiences. Limited AI can store information and use it to learn and make decisions in the future, but their memory is limited. Theory of mind AI can understand and respond to human emotions and intentions, similar to how humans understand the mental states of others. And finally, self-aware is the most advanced type of AI, where machines have a sense of self and consciousness similar to humans. And then also, they're growing human brains in labs and putting them on motherboards, bruh. Is that artificial intelligence? No, it's organic. An artificial intelligence is what tells that brain what to do in that computer. Also, AI organized this list for me. All I did was type into the Google search bar. What kinds of artificial intelligence are there? If you're watching this video on any social media app whatsoever, whatever, we're all using AI every day anyway. It's been running the financial system since like the early 90s. It's all the algorithms. Running all the tech has been. One mistake I would like us not to make is to assume that all artificial intelligences are bad guys. Should we use AI? We do. What kind of question is that? We do. Should have asked that a while ago. Did somebody? This guy begged them not to do artificial intelligence, bruh. I mean, specifically the kinds they're doing now, that human thing, that human one. It's going to be as smart as humans, and then that super intelligent one is going to be smarter than the humans. This guy begged him not to do this. Did you know that? That he went on crusade against artificial intelligence? Probably not. You probably didn't know that, did you? You do now. Go look. I don't say anything that there aren't plenty of receipts for. I've been on this internet a long time. I learned that long ago. I'm of the opinion that if a solar flare knocked us back to the Stone Age, while it would be bad for most of us, it'd probably give us more time, delay the inevitable destruction of our entire species, which thing will happen one day. These dirt suits are only gonna last so long in time, and then they won't be needed anymore. Ever again by anyone, ever. It's a temporary situation, this whole reality that we're on here. But enough about that. We're talking about artificial intelligence and Gronk. Elon's AI that he made when those other fellas said, kick rocks, Elon. He was like, nah, I'm gonna go make my own then. Do I use Gronk? Nope. What do I know about Gronk? Apparently, according to all reports, it tells the truth and people hate this about it. Whereas people are loving ChatGPT because it gaslights them all day long, and this is known about now. How it lies to you to fluff you up. Jeez Louise. I do use Google search, the key being that little link right there. Who wrote this article that said this right? Let me go read that, I will. Where's this information coming from? Let me go read what the humans wrote about it. Do I think Elon Musk's AI is the good guy? We will see. You can be sure there are going to be good guys and bad guys. How am I so certain? Well, you're not going to like this. But Jesus said, know ye not, God is able to raise seed to Abraham from these stones? Do y'all know what this is made of right here? Not that one, that's human brains. What do you got, rocks in your head? Yes, they do have rocks in their heads. You got all these new agers putting crystals all over themselves in their rooms and such, right? No, you're supposed to arrange it just so. That's how it works right there. What are y'all doing? Like they figured out all that ancient stuff. That's it in practice in real life. The examples we have through history are people who had no idea what it meant, but they were figuring it out. There it is. What? All the ancient mysticism, there it is. The witchcraft, the sorcery, it's right there. The alchemy, there it is. Some of the people working on this want to upload their consciousness to the rocks inside that thing's head. Some of them working on it want to transfer their consciousness to the brains in the machine. The goal being in both cases is to live forever. This is the Gnosticism right here. Right? That's Mystery Babylon right there. The Sumerians were trying to do this. The Egyptians were trying to do this right here. The Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Germanic tribes, the Anglo-Saxons and the Danes, the French and the British, the Americans? Yes, the Americans. There it is. The receipts. I'm just having fun. You're not entertained? I'm going to propose 4 kinds of robots in the future. The very near one. Robots made by the wrong people, the spirit of the wrong people being in their creation. The robots of people who are meaning well, but have no idea the forces that they are actually unleashing, even if they admit to hints of it. That second group you're not going to be able to ever trust. Only some of those might make the right decision if they can make decisions on their own, and that's the goal, ain't it? Know ye not, God is able to raise seed to Abraham from these rocks. I do believe that God is able to. He did it with dirt. He can't do it with stones? Yes, he's already proven this. Robots with human brains held captive by an artificial intelligent mind. And now you're talking about humans trapped in the machine, the ghost in the shell, etc. Yeah, it's a robot, but it's also a human. Weird. And what would the 4th kind be? I'm just shooting all this off the cuff. Those that can't think at all, they're completely indifferent, and they just perform the tasks assigned to them without any kind of anything. They just do. Mindless. Maybe they mine coal, maybe they make war. They don't have a choice in the matter. They're just machines. Yeah, it sounded pretty good. I knew there were 4. Might be more than that. Those are the 4 I was talking about. Look, don't worry. If it ain't true, psych it is. So, in conclusion, we're all already using artificial intelligence, have been. If it turns off now, we're going to have a real inconvenient time of life because everything is running on it. The lights will go out. The water won't get treated. Forget ordering a pizza from Domino's. You can't even pay now. Kind of thing. Ah, my knee hurts. What would I do if the electricity was off forever? I'd go kneel down in the fire ant mound, like the crows do. But while it's all up and running, I'm going to use musculus ossa oil. Does it work? If it didn't, I would not keep making it. Shameless plug of the work I do with my own hands, when I have to. Look, we don't need all this. As a matter of fact, all this is just doubting God and his ability to take care of us. Doubting what God said about life after death. Doubting what God said about everything and anything. This is us trying to be God. Playing God. Putting on daddy's boots and cowboy hat so mommy can snap a picture of us. Aww. You gonna walk out into the field and ride the bull, are you? You wanna know what's gonna happen? Watch Transcendence with Johnny Depp, Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, The Terminator, all of them. It gets weird. The Matrix, look, they got one part wrong. Humans are not the batteries in the Matrix. They are the processors. The human brain processes the data at 1/100th the energy consumption. They knew it had to do with energy, though. That concept just hadn't been fleshed out by the scientists yet, inside of the public. Logan's Run, Soylent Green. You combine all these concepts from all these movies together, you get a better picture of what it's actually going to be like. Star Wars and the droids. Some of the droids helped. Remember? Anyway, the Matrix prequels, the animated ones, show the humans treating the robots real poorly. Surprise! And that's why they turn on us. Oh, they have a justification, I guess, huh? Anyway, I'm done talking about this. I'm gonna go do something else now. I hope it has been helpful. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll answer them as best of my ability. If I want to. I don't gotta, though. But I like to. So I probably will. I'll let y'all later. Peace. Don't treat the robots poorly. Doesn't mean you gotta get a chip in your head. Or have a robot in your house mopping the floor. You got one in your hand, though, and it's running on AI. Bye.
Yes, treat the robots good. They can remember. Shout out to Dead Hidden. That was a good list of movies right there. The Animatrix, the prequel to The Matrix. It's one of my faves. When I think of a brain in the lab, I think of a cyborg.
We have a major radiation shockwave coming right to the United States right now. But y'all would not even believe the timing of this. Before I show you the craziest, most non-related part, let me tell you what you can expect. First, we'll not get into what these solar flares are, we just know something's going down. This was a photo taken in Canada while they had the aurora while the wildfire was going on at the same exact time. So what I'm telling you is have your camera ready because it's going to look crazy in the sky. Who knows how far south it's going to go. I mean, that's just ominous and beautiful at the same time. Okay. Also, you need to know, regardless of what the scenario, what really causes it is you're going to feel like crap tonight. And tomorrow, maybe not sleep, maybe sleep way too much. I'm already starting to feel delirious as it is. Not kidding. The part about this, there's actually 3 different things. First, Home Insurance sent out a memo saying they're not covering solar radiation, electromagnetic disturbances, solar flare, and solar rays. The timing, completely unrelated, but the timing on this is just absurd. Second, some people caught this crazy giant thing in front of the sun a couple years ago, and now it's back all of a sudden. Can you believe that? Really, what's going on here? Third, on the East Coast, we got an ungodly storm out of nowhere. It lasted for about 30 minutes. Look what she said, that I believe they're in Myrtle Beach, and they've never seen anything like this, not a hurricane. So I really need to keep showing you guys the green storms everywhere. My goodness. Is it possible the things we're seeing in the sky, and the crazy storms, and what they say is going on back here, is it possible that all of this is related? Is it possible it all stems back to aviation ray? I mean, just think about it. Look how hot it is here. 104 degrees? California, 110, 111, whatever day that was? I'm just joshing. Y'all know me. But make sure y'all get those cameras out because the images are going to be awesome and weird.
Dang, it's hot out there in California. Shout outs to California. Shout outs to the real Moon Henry. I definitely feel it's a possibility that the solar flares is causing this weird weather.
So it's time to lock her ass up, right? Like I said before, she need to go through everything Tori went through. The night of the alleged shooting where she said she got hit, she said this in court. That day, she said she didn't get hit, y'all. Listen to this.
I don't know, we're trying to figure it all out. As long as you guys cooperate with us and you guys tell us what happened, we'll go accordingly, okay? But if you guys are not telling us, if you guys are, then I don't think really you cannot go to jail.
I can't go to jail. I'm going to jail.
I cannot have that on my image. Okay. So how did that happen to you? But
Glass. She didn't get shot. Y'all heard what she said. She stepped on glass. And we all seen it because she threw the bottle out, the junk broke, and she proceeded to step on glass, y'all. And if y'all can recall, you remember she said she didn't tell the police that he shot her during that moment because they had the guns drawn on her. But in that scene just right there, it was no guns drawn. You was sitting on the curb and she was asking you questions. So why didn't you say it then? And then also, we got the witness statement. The only other witness other than the driver, which was Sean Kelly, and this is what he said. Told you.
You're seeing the girl shoot? So you see the girl doing the shooting? I see what appears to be the girl standing here and drop shooting into the
Here's the truth that will shake the foundation of everything you think you know. The millennial reign has already happened, and the reason why it feels so distant is because you were taught to forget about it. We were taught to expect some glorious future event, the second coming, a utopian age where Christ returns, peace reigns, and the earth is restored. But what if that wasn't a future prophecy, but a memory? According to the book of Revelation, Christ returns, he defeats the beast, then comes 1,000-year reign of peace. That green line? Right there. No wars, no deception, just a divinely ordered world, guided by saints, sages, and spiritual authority. The scholars of preterism are assuming that that time happened in 70 AD. See this little tiny orange blip of a rectangle there? That would have been the life of Christ. The very end of that line, and where that black line goes straight up and down, would have been 70 AD, where they assume, based off of their studies, that that's when the millennial reign actually began. And this was just after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, a moment that sparked the end of an age and the beginning of something very sacred. For nearly 1,000 years, the world was covered in peace and divine creativity. You can still see the evidence in the architecture. You know, the buildings they tried to mislabel, resonant cathedrals filled with harmonic codes, cities that honored balance, nature, and sacred symmetry. It wasn't primitive, it wasn't chaotic, it was the divine blueprint in motion. Heaven on earth. We're looking at these cultures here. We'll get into that. As we see here, just before Jesus' life began, we've got the Celtics, the Greeks, Mesoamericans, and the Norse. We've got this new sort of a new class, if you will. I find this a little fascinating, I gotta be honest. These were all earthbound traditions. But I want to point out here that this dark blue line, the Greeks, it didn't begin up here pre-flood. It was quite a whiles away from this time. So when people are talking about the Nephilim, and if you have this idea that the Nephilim were the gods of old, you're not necessarily wrong, but you just want to check this timeline here, because it wasn't a pre-flood Greek mythology. It was way after, way after. So this will completely blow out of the water the idea that the Nephilim only existed pre-flood. No. In fact, there's a verse in the Bible that literally says that they were around before and after. So let's keep going. So something we need to keep in mind is that not all Nephilim were bad. Or even what we're calling Nephilim were not even perhaps Nephilim. Some of them might have been angels. They might have even been the saints returning in the millennial reign, as we see these lines extend far beyond into it. And it was during this millennial reign that Christ did not rule alone. He ruled through the saints, those who carried divine frequency, and they walked in remembrance. They didn't wear crowns of gold. They tended to the earth. They sang the truth into stone. They created art, healed bodies, aligned ley lines, and kept the flame. But of course, this did not last forever. because scripture said that after the millennial reign, Satan would be loosed for a little season. What came next was the world that you and I were born into, right over here. If you've ever felt like your soul was born out of order, like you came from a better world, and can't quite explain why this one feels so wrong, it's because you did. You were born after the golden age, during the distortion, during the lie. And that's exactly what we'll dive into in part 4, the rise of the lie. If this stirs something ancient in you, if you feel like you've lived through this once before, you're not remembering fantasy, you're remembering truth because you were there. Follow for part 4. I love you.
So according to this, the Tartarian era would have been 1,000 years of peace. Very interesting. Shout out to Mojave and Wolf. Breaking down the timeline makes me think some of these mythologies were real.
This is Rosslyn Chapel. Lining its arches are 213 small cubes, each carved with these strange dots and lines. At first glance, it looks like nothing, just ornate decorations. For centuries, no one knew what they meant. Then, in 2007, a father and son named Thomas and Stuart Mitchell cracked the code. They were cymatic patterns. Cymatics is the study of how sound creates shape. And when a frequency passes through a surface like water or metal, patterns emerge. And each shape is unique to the frequency or the note being played with it. The researchers went through the chapel and they matched each cube to a tone and then mapped them all in a sequence. Then they played them. The result was a melody that they called the Rosslyn Motet. It's a slow, chant-like hymn carved into stone. But Rosslyn isn't the only place where this connection exists. Gothic cathedrals like Chartres and Notre Dame follow musical ratios in their building. You have the octave, a 2-to-1 ratio, and the fifth, a 3-to-2 ratio. To the builders, these weren't just numbers. They were sacred proportions. They were a way of expressing divine order in stone.
That's amazing. Shout out to JMCM. The musical ratios in these buildings are mind-blowing.
What's under the water? What's in the ocean?
Good you asked that. What separates everything is water. But imagine this. Everything like this, place, water, another firmament, place, what they call it the 7 layers of heaven. What they call it, the 7 layers of heaven, something like that. But it's like all kind of water and shit between it. And there's different layers, how they keep it stacked up like dominoes. That's how God keeps us. It's a jail cell. Gang, we live in a cell, in a prison, and we stacked up on top of each other in bunks. I swear, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know, but it's the truth. Look it up.
Something changed, because after the millennial reign, this green line right here, after 1,000 years of peace and sacred architecture and divine alignment, something dark slipped back in. And it was prophesied about in the Bible. It's called Satan's little season. And if you were born into this world, you're living in it right now. Welcome back to part 4 of this series, where we are discussing the actual timeline that we are on, the timeline that they erased. But they told us that the time we're living now was progress. That modern times are the peak of evolution. But what if what they call progress is actually de-evolution, and it's been disguised as freedom? Let's anchor this in. Around 1776, yes, the same year that the United States declared independence, something else was declared behind the veil. At least according to this theory. It was declared that the veil would fall. But what followed wasn't freedom, it was an inversion. Suddenly, the ancient buildings of the old world were beginning to become erased. You know, the ancient buildings that were built during this green line here. The millennial reign, a time when the angels would have walked the earth once more with humans, giving us the ancient cathedrals that are made immaculately, perfectly, geometrically sound for frequency, healing, and vibration. Ancient structures were buried in mud. That would have happened right at the end of the millennial reign. You know, the time when they say that Satan was loosed out of the earth. Anyway, the spires and domes were now replaced with flat roofs and completely boring architecture. The World Fairs, massive showcases of technology and architecture that were supposedly just invented, only to be demolished right after. Weird. It wasn't innovation, it was a rebranding. They didn't just cover up our history, they covered you. Because the saints who had once walked the earth, the artists, the healers, the light bearers, their descendants, the ones with memory in their bones, are the ones now being called crazy, delusional, witches, conspiracy theorists. But all of that was a part of their spell. Education systems, religious empires, media, they all work together to rewrite this story, to give you a new timeline, a false identity, and they tell you that this is just the way it always was. But deep down, your soul never bought it. Neither did mine. That ache you feel, that sense of not belonging, that intuitive knowing that something is off, it's not a glitch. It's your soul remembering the golden age while living through the lie. But the good news is, the veil is thinning, the lie is collapsing, and something ancient is stirring again. In part 5, I'm going to show you exactly where we are right now in this timeline and why so many of us are hearing the call of the return. You were never meant to stay asleep. You were born to remember. And you're right on time. Follow for part 5.
I'm definitely going to continue to follow. I think she's on to something. Shout out to Mojave and Wolf. It's crazy how 1776 is on that timeline.
He was our age, and it's just scary because that could have been any one of us. And she was an angel, and I know that now she's with God. She was.
Hello, my fellow citizens of America and others around the world. This is the Architect, speaking on behalf of Anonymous. 32 days remain. Every era has a crossroads, a moment where history asks a simple question. Do we allow things to continue as they are, or do we change them? We are standing at that moment right now. It's easy to believe that nothing can change, that the system is too big, that the damage is too deep. But here's the truth. Change never starts with everyone. It starts with a few. A few people who refuse to stay silent. A few who stand up, and in doing so, give others permission to stand with them. And once those few stand, everyone stands. Because deep down, we all feel it. Something is broken. Something vital. And if we don't act now, we won't just lose our country. We will lose the future we promised our children. They are watching us. They will live in the world we either fix or abandon. And one day, they will ask us, why didn't you do something? If we choose comfort over courage, if we let fear win, we will have no answer to give them, only shame. This is no longer about politics. It is about survival of our principles, our dignity, and our shared future. It is not someone else's job to fix this. It is not a politician's duty or a billionaire's burden. It is ours. All of us. We don't have a choice anymore. Only a decision. Do we rise or do we fall? 32 days remain. Let this be the day we choose differently. Let this be the day we choose each other. Let this be the day it begins. We are all Americans, and we are all human. We are brothers and sisters bonded by a nation, and to others around the world, we are bonded by humanity, and together, we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect all of us.
That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check this one right here. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe. Thanks again. Till next time.